My fellow South Africans, patriotic citizens of this, our beautiful land, I greet you. And once again, I thank you for joining me on this platform. I will continue to do this with the hope that sooner rather than later, I will be able to strike the chord and perhaps even enable others. And in fact, that is my call in the very beginning, in the very onset, that anyone and everyone out there in the country who has any amount or level or opportunity of the media, the social media platform, that we begin to join hands with the call that I am making today. And that call is simply that enough is enough. We cannot continue to sit back and be casual when our country is teetering at the brink of catastrophe, when our very essence as proud South Africans is challenged and is endangered like it is right now. The sad images and imageries that we have seen in a past few number of days are but a reflection of the worst things to come. If our very constitutional order can be threatened daylight like that, if the integrity of our security in the country can be put so swiftly under such attack, if the very economy, the very ailing economy, a very fragile economy that we have in South Africa can be intentionally and maliciously attacked in a manner in which it has been, we have one of two choices as the South African populace. The choice number one is to sit back, throw caution to the wind, and continue to put our trust on the politicians that have obviously failed the country, politicians that have obviously insulted the memory of the struggle, the memory of those that have laid down their lives and shed their blood for the freedom and the liberation of the people of South Africa. We have been brought to a place in our country that I call the crossroads. And it is my prayer that we wake up and smell the coffee and realize that our reality as the South African people is more dire than what the politicians are telling us, is more dire than the glimpse that the media is opening us up to. Because correctly, in the words of the Minister of Police, we do not know the extent to which these people that are behind the anarchy and the chaos in our country, we do not know just how much they have against the stability and the security of this country, especially given the fact that it has become clear that some of them, if not a lot of them, were and are members of the intelligence who have access to information and insight than we would ever think as the normal, ordinary populace of South Africa. What my call is with this communication is that the South Africans must wake up, because the true and ultimate power that we have and the last line of defense that we have as the South African populace is the power that is in actual fact is ours. We have the power, but the complacency and indifference with which we have looked at the not so distant past occurrences, it's what is going to cause us, not only in the now, but in the future, very dearly. We have no one but ourselves to look after ourselves. We cannot hope that the same strategy that has been promised and applied, which have continuously failed, that by some miracle, all of a sudden it will work. We have heard the pronouncement by the political leadership of the country to take matters into their hands and ensure the safety, the security of not only the people of South Africa, but of the property as well, and of this economy. We have heard the promises and the undertakings that what we have heard over time and what we have seen over time about the continuing decline of the South African currency and the credit rating of the South African economy, that those things would be better, but we have seen the opposite. It has been our unfortunate reality that every time we have been waiting to hear a statement from a political figurehead to tell us what they think and what we should be hoping for in the near future. And they have done that, because at the end of the day, if they have not done that, if they have not come to talk to us, then we would say there's inaction or inactivity on the part of the leadership. Because what we have been saying over time is, where is the president when this is happening? Where is so-and-so when this is happening? And the one true question that we have failed ourselves, we have failed to ask, is where are we when things are happening the way they are? South Africans, we are responsible. We are responsible for our fate. And whatever happens to this country, if this country goes up in flames, it will be irresponsible of every single one of us, especially those that know what is supposed to be done, and they elect and choose and decide to reserve themselves, especially those that have positive nuggets that can take this country forward, that can rescue this country from the clutches of the crocodile, as it were, and take this country to a place where this great country can restore itself. If we fail to balance the scales, if we fail to bring to the fore the things that will enable us as a country to, in practice and in fact, grow the economy of the country, we will continuously live at the empty promises of the politicians. Might I add that for the longest time, we have not been ready to open ourselves to the fact that it may just be that it works to the favor of the politicians, that there is racial tensions in South Africa, that there are economic disparities in South Africa, that there is the poor education and the disparities even in the education system, as it were. How so? Because once you empower truly a citizen of the country, and you empower them in such a way that they become independent in their thinking, and they move from a position of thinking from the stomach or thinking with their stomach, and they can think with their brains, then it makes it impossible for you to do whatever you would like, because this person has become independent. That is why for many years, close to 3 decades now, that the plastics of ShopRite checkers, donations, have been used to garner election votes. That is why even today, opportunistic political fractions and fragments that we have seen out there masquerading themselves as the hope of the people by, stationing up soup kitchens and saying that they are doing something about the situation of the country. It has been the attitude of the political parties in South Africa to want to seem like they are interested in the growth and the development of this country, and yet what they have all collectively failed to do is to prove that they are one and that their goal is one. Because to say it is one thing, but to actually put it into practice, and how do you effectively put that into practice? Instead of having the likes of splinter parties like COPE that broke out of the ANC because they were aggrieved and started the political party and premised it on the power mongering and the power journey, hence ended up imploding, and it was a false start before it even began, before it even went anywhere. Hence we had the party by Dr. Mamphele Ramphele, which started out of emotional blustering, and it was an excitement which ended up like paper fire, because again it was about the struggle and the task for power and control. Patricia de Lille is one of those that have done the same thing, and before you knew it, she was swallowed by the DA and went back to the ANC again, which then begins to tell you, like Julius Malema said one day when he was still in the ANC and people were breaking into COPE, and he said, you are going to be responsible for the reasons why your children are going to be hungry, because it is cold outside of the ANC. The statement that was clearly intended at saying that you are living your paycheck. And that has been true indeed, because our South African politicians are all about the paycheck and not about the interest of this country. And I challenge anyone to try and prove me wrong on that, and I can take you head on. Because the fact of the matter is, if the opposite was true, instead of breaking into small splinter groups whose aim is to just knock cheap political scoring against the failures of the ANC, you should be doing something, and you would know common sense. Divided you fall, but united you stand. If you cannot unite amongst yourselves as small political parties and litter the ballot papers with so many useless and ineffective political parties, why can't you come together and form one strong consolidation that can work for the progress of this country? You cannot answer that right now. I know. You have to think about it. But I'm waiting for that response, and I'll be waiting for that response. In the meantime, South Africans, we need to, I'm calling upon everyone that thinks they have something that can be done to help us as a nation before the country goes up in smoke. I'm calling, it doesn't matter. You are black, you are white, you are DA, you are ANC, you are COPE, if there's still COPE, whatever. This is not about any politics or politician. This is about the reality of what is important for the future of South Africa.